Yo.
Yo.
What's up?
What's up?
I asked first.
I asked first.
Are you copying me?
Are you copying me?
Quit doing that!
Quit doing that.
You're really pissing me off now.
You're really pissing me off now.
Doctor Who. Filmmaking. Avenged Sevenfold. Bang!
Joe
Curtis, Kate Adams, Dylan Appleby, Needles!
That was fun.
Wait, what? I'm so confused.
Nah, I'm just kidding. Come on, let's do the review.
Wait, where are you going? The review's right here. What are you doing? Come back.
Today, we only have this.
Yeah, we're uni students, so... Okay. Hello everybody and welcome to the Review in Space. Today we are going to be reviewing a very special episode of Doctor Who, an episode which sometimes is looked over. I've seen a lot of people say, oh, it's a naff episode. No, it's not.
Yeah.
It is genius and is on a shoestring budget as well. It is Midnight from Series 4. An episode with very little Donna. Donna's only at the start.
She's only at the start and then right at the end when he comes back.
Yeah, yeah. When she goes molto bene and she goes molto bene, he's like don't. That's great. But no, Midnight is a great episode. I think Series 4 is a great series as well.
Yeah, Donna definitely sells it, and that's kind of something that's kind of ironic when she sells it as the companion, and this one is the episode where she's the least involved.
Yeah. And
yet it's still arguably the most memorable episode.
Yeah. It's such a good... Well, there are loads of good ones in Series 4, but yeah, this one's great. Like I say, shoestring budget. It's all set in one room, basically, with just...
Well, unless you count the landing and then the swimming pool, but...
Oh, yeah. It was filmed in a hotel. The first bit was, you can tell.
Yeah.
But yeah, what was the backstory behind their cruise? It was the
so the
planet
Doctor
called
was
Midnight.
there to... They were going to the spa reserve area for Donna just to basically kick back, and then there was this little bit about the sapphire waterfall that the Doctor wanted to go see, and then you have to go on this mole pod sort of thing that travels down, and so Donna wanted to just kick back again, they spoke about the anti-gravity thing with Bibbs, but I think that was what they were saving for afterwards.
Right.
But then the Doctor decided to go on the thing on his own, and then that's where all the catastrophe happened.
That was crazy
that's
episode.
The backstory about it.
Yeah, and they won't see the sapphire waterfall.
Sapphire waterfall.
Yeah, and it's really cool because it is a base under siege where you have a set amount of characters, and they start getting picked off one by one. Like you see the pilots of the ship just get wiped out in the first 10 minutes that they're on there because of what happened. Because
the entity cut the cable ties between the main box and the cockpit, as it were.
Yeah. Did they die then, or did they just run away? Because...
No, they died because once the seal was broken, extonic rays, the sun basically vaporized them.
Yeah, that's true. Fair enough. Yeah. Because they saw a monster run across the...
Yeah, it was the mechanic. He's the kind of the co-pilot underneath that, but he was the one that's kind of just leaning in the front. He goes, "Did you just?" No. Yeah. No, sorry. And I remember watching that as a kid. I remember watching it 7 different times.
And having to pause it. And
trying to think if you could see anything.
You can't see shit. No. But that's such a tease though, isn't it? So they saw it. Why didn't you fucking see it? Because they didn't have the budget to show you a monster. But that's what's crazy about it. Because you don't see a monster this whole fucking episode. It's just the paranoia of it all. And I like that.
It's kind of like what happened last time when I was here reviewing the Adams story. Like intimate stories where you don't really have to see anything.
There's no big budget, big explosion, big battles. It's all just a personal, character growth, isn't it? And a great supporting cast. I will say some characters you love and some characters you love to hate.
Oh my god, that mother!
I forgot her name. Yeah.
I said it was her.
And Merlin! Merlin's in it as well. We broke it down in the middle of nowhere.
In the middle of nowhere.
I love
Why didn't he use his wand or anything? Does Merlin have a wand? Does Merlin have a wand?
I haven't watched Merlin in ages, and I might anger a lot of Merlin fans watching this if
I don't care. I'm
if
no
I got
Merlin
it
fan.
wrong.
We're not even here for Merlin. Back to the story.
And then you said Pat Troughton's son is in it as well.
Yeah, David Troughton. He plays the professor. He's the one that's trying to say that there's no life out there because of the extonic rays.
He's the very scientific person that butts heads with the Doctor a bit, doesn't he? Because he's all scientific.
Not necessarily. He butts head more with his little assistant Dee Dee because
she's
the one that kind of knows
character.
more. She's the one that's listening to common sense, whereas he's just kind of
she's listening to the Doctor and he's just listening to his own ego.
The one that was the most aggravating, in my opinion, to get around is the mother. Because the
father...
father...
What about the father was a bit annoying as well at times.
He had that kind of air where he was trying to see sense, but then he was just basically following what the mother said. But what always gets me is right at the end, and you know it's because they just made the character as such, is when after the hostess and Silvestri are sucked out at the door and then...
Oh yeah, that was the big thing.
And you just get that close-up of her just leaning in, just... I said it was her.
Oh yeah,
but
fuck off with that.
But then it also felt good straight away because he didn't have to say anything.
Because the doctor was like,
he just looks at her, you know,
eat shit and die.
Yeah, and she just.
Why are you the one of the people that survived? Like, yeah.
He's just out of it. He's panting. He's just trying to correlate, and he hasn't even got the energy just to scowl and yell at her. It's just.
He's just disappointed.
Yeah.
Just look at just went.
She knows.
Don't even try.
Yeah.
It's great. And. Who else was in it? I think those are the key ones, but there was also I think the hostess. She was kind of a background character until the end. She was kind of just trying to keep everyone sane.
But then also it's that kind of all the anonymity of that character as well, because that's something that the Doctor kind of lingered on just at the end. Was just what was her name, and then that's the professor.
Yeah, I forgot about
went
that.
on that trip about what was it 7 times? I think 7, 6. I can't remember. But even he didn't know what the name of the hostess was, and that's a bit depressing in itself when the hero of the day wasn't even the Doctor, but you don't even know
their name.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is honestly crazy. I didn't think about that, but that is such a good point because, I mean, she was such a background character, and then she saves the day, and no one knows who she is. But,
and for a while, she was kind of one of those people that you start to hate, but then she came from a place of panic because, you know, 2 of her co-workers have just died, and so obviously she wants to get this place out, and she's following the rules, has to be safety bug and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then, she wasn't too much of a panic for the sake of fear, but panic for the sake of I've got to look after these people.
She has like so much responsibility. Yeah. She's the hostess, and David Tennant's performance. I think this is one of his best performances.
Absolutely,
because he's in a vacuum, just having to. This whole episode is just reliant on good actors. That's what saves this episode because a lot of it is just talking. That's literally all it is. It's just fucking talking and a bit of
And it's also a testament for the character of the Doctor in itself in a way because you know he's surrounded by people who they butt heads with him, but ultimately they listen to what he says because he has a companion who. You know, they defend him, they say, you know, just give him a bit of time. But then in this box, it's literally him against them.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a more interesting dynamic where it's not the Doctor fighting an alien, it's actually him fighting humans, you know, and they're fighting for survival because he's coming from a place of fascination. Yeah. And then they even criticise him, you know, is he human? Does he know? Is he coerced with the alien?
Yeah, because when they find out he's an alien as well, that just makes things even more complicated.
Yeah.
And the whole idea of a monster that you don't see but just possesses someone somehow. It's so weird, isn't it? It's such a weird idea. And you don't know how it gets in, really, because you see it bash up the sides of the warnings and it kind of bashed towards...
And then everything kind of cuts out in power, and then next thing you know, the chairs are all torn up and she's kind of cowering away in the corner.
Yeah.
It's those eyes as well. It's just those... They just don't even blink. They just zoom in.
It's fucking creepy, I will say. Did a great job. She did a great job. She did. And
did a great dog shit. Were you about to say that?
No.
She did dog shit performance. She's so dog shit. It was perfect.
I loved it. I think it's a great concept as well because you know, it's such a simple thing. Someone copying someone else, but it's like when it becomes like it becomes very tense, you know, so much tension on the... Because there was already tension because it's like, we're trapped here, the cockpit's gone, and then you realise the monster's inside or something.
Yeah.
And then the monster starts to take over the Doctor or something. It's kind of unclear what the monster is or what its powers are, but I think that's better.
It's also very... It's frightening when it's not an obvious assertion of power, you know, when they say, I'm in charge. But when you're frightened for even your own words, when you can't even take ownership of what you say because somebody else is beating you to the punch.
Doctor Who had a lot of that in this time, didn't it? Because it was like, you can't blink, you can't talk. It's all of that.
Don't blink, don't think, don't breathe. They did such a good job in creating fear out of things you wouldn't even associate with the kind of phobia.
Exactly, yeah.
And this one for me was ticking all the boxes. I don't think I feared the dark or kind of just being on my own that much. Since Vashtin Arada, since Silence in the Library.
Yeah, exactly. The Doctor Who's at least at this time, the Doctor Who was the best at doing that, like turning something that was very normal into something that's actually fucking creepy.
Yeah.
I really like that.
But also, this episode does something similar to another one-off episode from the series before, 42, where it puts the Doctor in a position where he's not the hero, where you see he's not the one that always has the answers, and he doesn't always come out on top.
He's just as clueless as the rest of the people there, and I think that creates an interesting dynamic because I think that works because usually in Doctor Who you have the companion there to be the eye lens of the audience, so that the companion can ask questions to the Doctor that the audience would be asking, like where are we, what is going on, what time are we, all that.
And but in this episode, bridge between other characters as well.
Yeah, because that's how you learn more. Because the companion's going to be the one that's socialising with the supporting roles, but then the Doctor's going to be saving the day. But in this one, the Doctor is just as clueless as everyone else, which means we are watching the perspective from the Doctor, which is not something you get as much really, considering the companion usually fills that role where you're watching the episode from the companion's perspective. The companion is learning the universe that they're in, and they're kind of just along for the ride. But in this one, the Doctor's just along for the ride as well. He's just as lost and as stranded as everyone else, and he doesn't know anything about this alien or what it does or how capable it is. So I like that. It does add an interesting dynamic where you do feel like you're in the Doctor's shoes, but also you feel more unsafe than ever. You feel like things can definitely go wrong if the Doctor doesn't know what's going on.
Yeah.
So
because it's one thing comparing it against 42 because he kind of had a gist of, he had a way to save the ship, get through all the doors, restart the engines, and then Bob's a good one. And then it added on the added threat of the sun possessing him. Yeah. But then in this one, he's full in limbo, and it's the anticipation of just not knowing what could happen next. And then even with this, where you kind of expect when they first copy the words and then they speak in sync.
Yeah, and then she starts talking ahead of him, and that's where it gets really dark. Cause it's like, have we lost the Doctor? It's actually really creepy because you don't know what's going on, and the Doctor's kind of lost. And it's a similar way in 42 because the Doctor gets possessed, doesn't he, with the eye thingy majig. And
but then you still have faith in someone like Martha in 42 who's doing the job for him.
Episode.
Where that's kind of the trust that she'll get him through the business. That's all kind of. That keeps you hopeful in that episode. But in this one, the Doctor he's got no allies in this moment. The only person who was supporting him was Dee Dee, and then she's kind of been shouted into a corner by the Professor.
Yeah.
And then the Professor and the Dad are then just trying to chuck him out because the mother wanted him out.
Stupid, yeah.
But then, of course, it's the hostess who overhears what the entity is then saying. She's taking his words, molto bene, allons-y, and then that's when she clicks that 2 and 2, she's evil, how do I get out? Chuck her out.
Yeah, honestly.
And it's that fear, that tension, and then it's only when they're all sucked out and then he's just kind of catching his breath, and oh my god, it's so cathartic, but at the same time it's a bittersweet release
because you lose the hostess, we didn't even know her name.
The real hero dies, and then you can't even celebrate her life or celebrate her actions.
Yeah. Exactly, because the fucking bitch of a mother is like, I knew it. So stupid. But I love Midnight. That's a gem in Series 4. I think it's one of the best episodes in Series 4.
Series 4 had a lot of good one-off episodes, things like Fires of Pompeii. I thought Planet of the Ood was also
that's one that gets slept on a bit, but I quite like that one as well, to be honest.
Yeah. That one and Turn Left was a masterclass in just parallels, and I like the tie-ins with Rose. But I think Midnight is the one that you remember, not just because it's got David Tennant, who is beast, but it is just that frightening experience where Doctor Who does what it usually did. It just took something so benign and so careless, and then how do they just do that? How do they
twisted it into something that's so they make it very paranoid and everything. But I love Midnight. Midnight's great. Great, like I said, great cast. I don't know who the writer is for this episode, but whatever his name is, or their name is, I love it.
I wouldn't be surprised, to be fair, if this was a... RTD. I don't think it would be a Moffat.
Oh, no, I think it's an RTD. If it's anything, it might be an RTD story.
Yeah.
But no, regardless, it was a great episode. Well written, well directed, well acted. I think it's great all the way through. And considering it's all in one room... That's all. They're just relying on their talent as actors, and that's it. And the story. It just goes to show how good the story is. Like, cause I bet this script was thrown together in like a week. It was like, we haven't got this week's slot for an episode written. It's like, shit. What budget do we have? £10. It's like, bruh. So it's like,
the top bit of a bus. But the driver's seat is kicked off. And then
these
crack den in the corner. All the chairs are torn out. Yeah. And then we put some nutter in the corner. Yeah. oh Christ, what's this? But the thing is possessed. Speaking tongues. They start copying themselves.
Yeah. Episode. Bada bing, bada boom. Sorted.
We make millions.
Yeah. That's it, because it
builds
on. Yeah, it builds on the paranoia of what you don't. It's the fear of the unknown, isn't it? Really, because you don't ever see the monster. You see.
You hear the knocks.
Yeah.
The one mechanic just sees a shadow, but of course you don't see it.
And you never know what the lore is behind the monster, whether it went inside the woman or whether it's just this sort of like entity that came out of the monster that kind of possessed.
But then of course
because then it went into the doctor as well. So
yeah, but then of course there is still that cliffhanger because when he goes back to see Donna, he doesn't even answer. Do you think it's still out there?
Yeah.
Because he just gives that defeated look where he probably knows that it is, but he just
survived. That's all he did. He didn't save the day. He just survived, and that's the saddest part. Is that it's just it's not a downer ending, but it's such a bleak ending, isn't it? Because it's like you didn't save the day. You just survived. Because he nearly didn't make it out, did he? The doctor.
And I think what hurt him the most was the fact that he couldn't properly thank the hostess if he doesn't know her name.
And she saved the day.
One of the things about Tennant's character, and kind of a bit of Eccleston as well, is that they've been so haunted by just what they've been through at the moment that suddenly all the losses seem so much more personal.
Yeah.
Especially that bit at the end of series 4 when
even
Davros
if it's someone that he doesn't even know the name of, it's still one of those things that she saved my life. What the fuck? Yeah.
He doesn't forget those sacrifices. They haunt him, and
that comes back in when Davros says how many people died because of you, and it cuts to that, I think, and a few other different, like a bunch of other companions and other people that died in other episodes. But yeah, this was one of them, which I think is really cool, to be honest.
Yeah.
I really like that comes back and it does haunt the Doctor and it does stick. But yeah.
That interaction alone with him and Davros just at the end, just my final victory. That to me, apart from the end of time when he's shouting at Wolf in the pod, I think that bit with him and Davros, that's one of my favourite Tennant moments. Just looking at his legacy, it's just what is his legacy? Just running away from all the hurt.
Yeah.
And that's another thing of why Tennant's incarnation. Most people hated David Tennant's portrayal because for most of the people who watched the classic era, the Doctor always kept that sense of alienation. There was that barrier where he didn't fully conform.
Yeah, I think Tennant still had a bit of that though, to be honest. Not as much, but
his alienation came from the fact that he just didn't understand social cues, and he was still coming to terms. And I think the reason why he became so human is because he was looking for that home after Gallifrey. And Earth basically just became his home. He felt more at peace with the people around him, and that for me is something I like, where he's assimilating, and that for me was what helped Tennant's portrayal, and I really admire that,
to be honest.
And
I don't really mind. I mean, there was a time where I preferred a lot of classic Who to New Who, and Tennant was one of my least favourite Doctors. But I have very much warmed up to Tennant in recent years. I've gone a lot more kind based on me going back and feeling and embracing the nostalgia that his era has on me. He's not my favourite, nowhere near probably not in even my top 5, but he is easily...
Oh, way to shoot me in the fucking foot.
He's a great Doctor though. Genuinely, he is a great Doctor, and I don't hate any actors of the Doctor, to be fair. And I think his era is something that's actually probably will never happen again in the same way, because they're just banger after banger after banger episodes. Like you have this episode, you have you have the Silence in the Library, you have Journey's End, you have all these great episodes.
That whole latter end from Silence in the Library to Journey's End.
And then in series 3 you have bangers like Utopia, Lost of the Time Lords, Blink,
Human Nature and Family. But again, that was a whole second half
run of episodes
that
are just bangers. Yeah, honestly. Yeah. So I think it's just gold dust. That this era is just something that is very slept on, especially from classic fans who go, "Oh, it's just a lot of running down corridor." Yeah, but that's what Doctor Who's always been like. So it's like, and I like that. I mean, if you want the Doctor to just be like the classic era, then there's no character growth. Maybe that's the thing. Maybe every era needs to have this new discovery about the character, not the fucking Timeless Child. That's not a discovery. Anyway,
we are not mentioning that.
No,
filth.
But I think
we are not tainting this with such a shit piece of writing.
But as you were saying though, with Tennant's era, it's a lot about him becoming more human because he has nowhere else to turn. The only thing he has left is Earth, because he obviously went to Earth in the Third Doctor's era. So obviously, where would he turn if Gallifrey goes? His second home, which is Earth, which he went to in fucking Bada Bing Bada Boom. And I like that, to be honest, because you have all these different eras that have a different side of the Doctor. So Eccleston's more of like this battle-scarred type of war-hardened veteran.
He's still trying to shake off that hate, and especially in Dalek.
And
many different one-off episodes like Midnight, Dalek, 42. They handle such a grittier aspect of the Doctor's.
Like I say, like, every era of the every actor of every era of the Doctor like introduces a new aspect. So like Matt Smith is the old man in the young man's body, and then Capaldi is just the tired old man who's done running.
Yeah, I feel like they missed a beat though with making him too kid friendly. Because
I 100% agree. I love him in Series 8. Series 8, they struck gold with Series 8 of
the story's bit meh. In a
well,
cases, but
I disagree. There are some real good ones in Series 8. We'll talk about Series 8 another day. Yeah. But anyway, let's get back to Midnight.
We got on such a tangent.
Well, there's a lot to talk about with Doctor Who. But Midnight, I love Midnight. So fucking... I think that's all we have to say, to be honest.
Absolutely.
It's just a good episode.
Yeah.
I recommend it. If you haven't watched it, revisit it.
Please.
It's a good episode.
Whole Series 4, just have a go. Treat yourself. David and Catherine's chemistry, is unlike anything.
The only thing that I resent about Series 4 is and let me finish my sentence here, because this will come out of context. Catherine Tate should not have been in Series 4. She should have been saved to be the first female Doctor. Change my fucking mind.
Oh, that would have been perfect.
I'm sorry,
the chip on her shoulder for every situation. Oh my god.
Just from her performance in Fires of Pompeii sold me to be like, she would have been a great female Doctor. She would have been the best first female Doctor. That's my opinion. They wasted her. And no, she didn't. She wasn't wasted as the companion. She's perfect as the companion. I'm just saying that she would have been so. She has so much potential as a Doctor.
Yeah.
And
it's not out of the realm to choose a face that the Doctor remembers.
But I think it's too far if it's a companion that comes back as a Doctor. I think that's a bit far.
Okay.
That's what I mean. If she would have just been a companion that, like Adam in Series 1 of Christopher Eccleston, came. It was been and gone in 2 episodes. Like, then that's fine. He's not very memorable. In fact, I forgot about him until the other day. But so, like, if that happened, is his name Adam? Yeah, is it?
Yeah, Adam Mitchell.
That's it, yeah.
He's probably not being dissected because every time he flicks...
He literally is just a throwaway character, to be honest. You don't remember him in the old ethos of Doctor Who. He's barely even thought of. So you could bring back his act... Not that I want to, but theoretically you could bring back an actor of someone that has been in the series for that small period of time to be the Doctor. But not if you've been a companion that's had so much impact on the show as Donna did. Because Donna... Such a good companion. It's just I don't want to undermine that by recycling her actor to be the Doctor because she was so good as the companion. Plus, it doesn't make sense and blah blah blah. But no, I would have loved for Catherine Tate to be the Doctor. But anyway, that's we can all dream. But no, I'm gonna shut up now. Midnight, great episode. I'm gonna give it a 8 out of 10. I think it's a solid episode. I love it.
We're going there. 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
It's a 10.
Okay.
I'm actually going to. Well, I mean, I know I did this last time, but most episodes in Doctor Who, especially for David. Okay, I'm a bit biased, but no, this one.
It's a fucking sick one.
Yeah, it had cheese at the start, of course, because he kills all the power, and then there's that. Oh, I know. We'll have to talk to each other.
Yeah, that's great.
But they handle that so well. That first bit of the cheese, and then there's the mystery.
I love the chemistry between the characters as well. It's just such a fucking good episode.
Absolutely, and just the way that they took that risk, making the Doctor powerless, not just with the alien, not just not knowing, but then powerless because he hasn't even got the support of the people around him. He is on his own.
It's a genius episode. If there was a 0.5, I don't do 0.5s in my metrics, but if there was a 0.5, it would be 8.5. But I'm gonna go 8, I think. But yeah,
I'm going solid 10 for the 10th.
Okay, that's it for this review. Hope you enjoyed. This has been Midnight. Rewatch it if you haven't seen it in ages. You will be surprised how good it is. Because I don't pay this episode much thought, but every time I go back to it, I think, shit, this is fucking good. This is a fucking good episode, man. So anyway, that's it. That's it for us. Unless you have any last thoughts you want to mention quickly on there. We've broken down in the middle of nowhere. But anyway, I'm done now.
Broken down in the middle of no, I'm not going to try copying.
What?
Fuck's sake.
Don't do that.
Don't do that.
Bye, everyone!
Bye, everyone.
Are you copying me?
Are you copying me?
Quit doing that!
Quit doing that!
Sorry, I knew you were going to throw your phone.
Is that why you did it? Just chuck it in everything.
Quit doing that.
Quit doing that.
Did I miss a line?
Did I miss a line?
Are you copying me?
Are you copying me?
Quit doing that.
Quit doing that. Oh my god, I'm just chucking a phone!
I know.
It's not even that funny. But at the moment, I'm just chucking it. It does nothing.
Why do you find that funny?
You're really pissing me off.
Alright, go for it. Doctor Who.
Fuck. I had a bench.
Nice try. Doctor Who. I forgot what the second one was.
Filming
already.
studio.
Oh yeah, no,
Or
filmmaking.
media.
Filmmaking.
Media.
Doctor Who. Filmmaking. I'm sorry.
Doctor Who. Fucking up. Zach, no!
Bang! Kane Adams.
Fuck!
Oh no, I forgot.
Joker.
Joker. Does Kane Adams still an Applebee's needles? Cool. Perfect.
Let's try. Let's just run through that. Joker.
Joker. We will get this. We will get this. We will get this.
Christian Adams.
It's fine. Christian. Who's Christian? I'm gonna burp. No, I'm not.
If you burp in my face, I will kill you.
I didn't.
Burp 6. I never left!
Bang! You blinked. I love that. I made you jump.
Bang!
Oh, fuck. I was gonna count. Alright, I will laugh. Okay. Where are you going? Where are you going? The review's right here. Wait. I memo's as well, sir. I was gonna use that take as well.